Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your sources, cut through the noise, and get right to the knowledge you need.
Think of it as finding the signal in the information overload.
Today, we're tackling a head-to-head showdown. It's in the world of weight loss medications. You shared a fascinating clinical trial. This one was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it directly compared to really transformative drugs. Tirzepatide, you might know it as Zepbound,
Right.
and semaglutide, often called Wegovy.
Yeah, and for a while now, people have been asking, we know these work individually, but which one is more effective when you actually put them side by side?
Exactly.
So this new study, Surmount T5, it's called, aimed to give us, a direct answer.
Okay, so our mission today is pretty straightforward. Dive into this source material you sent and really uncover the key findings from this crucial comparison.
What did the result actually show?
Yeah, what were they? Why might we be seeing these differences? And what does it tell us about the future here? Let's unpack this.
Absolutely. I mean, these injectable medications, they've already changed the landscape of weight management. The results in their own separate trials were, impressive.
And we had hints from those earlier studies, didn't we? Like the note in your source about a 2022 trial. Tirzepatide showed participants losing around, 20.9% body weight?
Yeah, on average. And then compare that to a 2021 semaglutide study, which was closer to 14.9%.
Right. But comparing different studies, different times, different groups, it's just not the same as a direct head-to-head, is it?
Exactly right. And that's the real value of Surmount 5.
Yeah.
Doctors, insurers, and definitely patients, they desperately want clear comparative data.
Side-by-side picture.
Precisely. The one we've kind of been missing.
Okay, so let's look at how the Surmount 5 study was set up to get that direct comparison. It was a randomized controlled trial, involved 751 people.
And an important detail about this group, they all had obesity, but they did not have type 2 diabetes.
Okay, so that focuses the results specifically on weight management in that population. It ran for a pretty substantial time, too, 72 weeks. That gives plenty of time to see, sustained effects.
Definitely. And it spanned 32 sites across the U.S. and Puerto Rico.
Right.
Led by researchers from places like Weill Cornell Medicine, with funding from Eli Lilly. They're the makers of tirzepatide.
Now, a key point you flagged from the study design, it wasn't blinded.
Right.
And the reason kind of makes sense when you think about it. The meds are given using these labeled auto-injection pens, so participants, they couldn't really be unaware of which drug they were getting.
Yeah, you can't really hide the label on the device.
Yeah.
So while blinding is, the ideal standard, sometimes the delivery method just makes it impractical.
Sure.
And crucially, everyone in the study, both groups, got counseling on diet and exercise. So that sort of foundational support was consistent.
Okay, got it. Foundational support was the same. So let's get to the headline everyone's waiting for, the weight loss results. When these two went head-to-head at their highest approved doses, what happened?
Well, the results showed a significant difference. The group getting tirzepatide lost an average of 50 pounds over those 72 weeks.
50 pounds, wow.
Yeah.
That's a massive number on average.
It really is. And that translated to an average body weight reduction of about 20.2%.
Okay, 20.2% for tirzepatide. What about the semaglutide group?
So they still saw substantial results, don't get me wrong, but the average loss was 33 pounds.
33 pounds. I mean, that's still impressive on its own, but compared to 50?
Exactly. That 33 pounds represented about a 13.7% loss from their baseline weight.
Okay.
So, yeah, in this direct comparison, tirzepatide led to significantly greater weight loss.
Significantly greater really seems to capture it when you put 20.2% next to 13.7%. And it wasn't just the average loss, was it? I think the study also looked at how many people hit certain weight loss goals.
Yes, absolutely. And this is often really meaningful for individuals, not just the average. So nearly 1/3 of the participants on tirzepatide, the paper says 32% specifically, they achieved a reduction of 25% or more of their initial body weight.
Wow, a quarter of their starting weight or more for almost a third of them. How did the semaglutide group compare on that specific measure?
That number was quite a bit lower. It was 16%.
16%. So basically twice as many people on tirzepatide hit that really significant 25% plus weight loss milestone, at least in this trial.
That's right. And this study also noted greater reductions in waist size with tirzepatide as well.
Which, as you know, is often linked to better metabolic health markers, going beyond just the number on the scale.
Okay.
So the what is clear. Tirzepatide came out ahead of semaglutide in this head-to-head trial.
In terms of weight loss efficacy, yes.
Now let's dive into the why. What's the biological reason? Why do researchers think tirzepatide showed these greater results?
Okay, so this really comes down to how the drugs actually work, their mechanisms of action. Semaglutide works by mimicking the effect of just one hormone, GLP-1. This hormone helps regulate appetite, influences insulin release.
Yeah, we've certainly heard a lot about GLP-1 recently. It's kind of the star player.
It has been. But tirzepatide, well, it takes a different approach. It's designed to mimic two different hormones. It mimics GLP-1 and another hormone called GIP. That's glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide.
Ah, okay, so semaglutide is like a solo act, focusing on GLP-1, and tirzepatide is more like a duet, hitting both GLP-1 and GIP.
That's a really good way to think about it, yeah, a duet. And the study authors, the researchers, they believe that targeting both these pathways at the same time, well, it leads to an additive effect on weight loss.
So they work together somehow.
Seems like it. They work together to reduce hunger signals more effectively, perhaps, help manage blood sugar, and they might even influence how fat cells are metabolized differently when both are activated.
You know, it makes intuitive sense, doesn't it? That hitting multiple targets in this really complex system that regulates our body weight, well, it might yield a bigger impact than just hitting one target.
Exactly. And the source actually includes a quote, I think, from Dr. Aron highlighting this complexity. He notes that weight regulation involves, many pathways, and targeting more of them seems to pave the way for potentially greater weight loss.
Okay, that helps explain the why behind the results they saw in the trial. Now, let's shift gears slightly. Beyond effectiveness, what about safety, side effects? How do the two drugs compare there?
Well, this was interesting. The study reported that the side effects were, and I quote, very similar for both medications.
Really? Similar rates and types of side effects, even with that noticeable difference in weight loss?
That's what the data showed in SURMOUNT-5, yes. The common gastrointestinal issues you often hear about with this class of drugs were the most frequent ones reported.
Like nausea.
Exactly. For example, about 44% of participants in both the tirzepatide group and the semaglutide group reported nausea at some point.
Okay, 44% in both. Any others mentioned?
Abdominal pain was another one, reported by about 25%, so a quarter in each group as well.
That's really important information for you, the listener, to have if you're considering these options or just following the field. Similar side effect profiles reported here, but different levels of average weight loss in this specific head-to-head comparison.
It definitely adds crucial context to the efficacy data, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking beyond this particular study now, what does this tell us about the future? Where are weight loss treatments heading?
Well, for tirzepatide itself, trials are ongoing to investigate other potential benefits, specifically whether it can reduce the risk of cardiovascular events, things like heart attack and stroke.
Okay, which semaglutide has already shown it can do, right?
Correct. So they're looking to see if tirzepatide offers similar heart protection benefits. That data isn't out yet, but it's being studied.
And the source also mentioned something about next generation drugs being explored.
Yes, and this is where things get even more interesting, potentially. Researchers are already testing compounds that go beyond even the dual action of tirzepatide.
Beyond two hormones?
Yeah, they're looking at things like retatrutide, which is sometimes nicknamed triple G.
Triple G. Okay, don't tell me. It mimics three hormones.
You got it. It's designed to mimic GLP-1, GIP, and a third hormone, glucagon.
Wow. Okay, so if one hormone agonist was effective, and hitting two showed even better results in this trial, the thinking is that hitting three could potentially be even more effective, or maybe work for a wider range of people.
That seems to be the hypothesis driving the exploration of these multi-hormone agonists, yeah.
Yeah.
The goal isn't just, chasing higher and higher weight loss numbers necessarily,
right,
but also trying to find options that work really well for individuals who might not respond optimally to the current medications.
Because that's a key point, isn't it? Even with these impressive results we're talking about, these drugs just don't work perfectly for everyone.
Exactly right. And the source includes a relevant point here, noting that while drugs like tirzepatide and semaglutide were, arguably the most effective tools we've had so far, there are still people who don't respond as well as others, or maybe not much at all. So the drive in research is, as one quote put it, to keep trying to do better.
It's clearly a rapidly advancing field. Lots happening.
Definitely. Oh, and one final piece of context that was provided in the source material is the disclosure regarding Dr. Louis Aron. He was one of the principal investigators on this study.
Okay.
The article notes he serves as a paid consultant and is on advisory boards for both Eli Lilly, who sponsored this study and makes tirzepatide, and also for Novo Nordisk, who makes semaglutide.
Right, so involvement with both companies.
Exactly. And this is pretty standard information that's included for transparency, about potential conflicts of interest. Important to know.
Got it. Good to have that full picture from the source. Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive. Based on this head-to-head Surmount-5 study you shared, tirzepatide, or Zepbound, resulted in significantly greater average weight loss. We're talking 50 pounds, or 20.2% on average.
Yeah.
Compared to semaglutide, or Wegovy, which averaged 33 pounds, or 13.7%. And this was over 72 weeks in people with obesity, but without type 2 diabetes.
And the leading explanation for this difference really points to tirzepatide's dual action, hitting both those GLP-1 and GIP pathways, compared to semaglutide focusing just on GLP-1.
It's really powerful seeing those specific numbers from a direct comparison, isn't it? And understanding the potential biological mechanisms behind it all. This deep dive into your source material really helps you grasp the core findings of this important trial, quickly and clearly.
It certainly highlights the potential advantages, at least for weight loss, of these multi-target approaches.
Yeah. And, here's where it gets really interesting to think about. If targeting two hormonal pathways, like tirzepatide does, shows greater efficacy than targeting just one,
right?
What does the exploration of these triple G drugs, the ones targeting three pathways, actually mean for the future? Especially for individuals who maybe haven't found enough success with the current options.
It's a huge question.
It really raises an important question about how far these multi-agonist approaches can take us and potentially who else might benefit down the line.
It just underscores that the science here is still evolving, pretty rapidly actually, and we're likely to see even more refined, maybe even more effective approaches in the years to come.